Welcome to Project Car Media and welcome back to the budget restore of my 1995 Nissan 200SX SER. If you guys haven't seen my previous video where I reveal this car, go through it, and tell you what I'm going to do with it, I've included it in the description below, so definitely go check that out. So in today's episode, we are going to start the maintenance on this restore. My plan is to get this thing running great before I even touch anything aftermarket or anything with the looks of the car. So yeah, let's head over to the workbench. I'll show you guys all of the parts that I got for this so far. Here is what we've got so far. This is going to be just the start of the maintenance for this thing. These parts are basically for what I found originally when I was looking through the car for a couple minutes. And let me just go through everything that I got here, and I'll tell you what I have on the way as well. So I wanted to replace all of the bulbs here. So I've got some headlight bulbs, fog light bulbs. These are the turn signal bulbs. For some reason, I got LED turn signal bulbs for the rear. We got some spark plugs, license plate lights, backup lights. I did get my tuner key here. I did confirm that it works on the lug nuts. Got the cap and rotor, oil filter, oil, and then I got brake pads and brake rotors. Now, I didn't actually go for the brake calipers. They didn't look too bad. And I didn't go for the rear disc brakes at all. Those aren't really utilized as much. I'm still trying to be on somewhat of a budget here, so I thought I will just go with the front rotors and pads first, and if the rears really need it, then I'll go ahead and replace those later. Yeah, this is what I've got so far. Now, one thing that isn't on the table that I've already installed because I had to was new windshield wipers. This is one of the original windshield wipers, and if you can see here, it's like it's deteriorated. It's not even smooth anymore. So it was just like kind of pushing water around on the windshield. This is just another sign to say that the car had been sitting for a really long time. Now, a couple things that I have on the way that aren't here in this list is an intake filter. I had to actually measure what was on the car originally. I also am ordering some brand new tires. I got some Hankook tires from Amazon for really cheap, and they're brand new, so I got those on the way. And then the power steering line I haven't picked up just yet, but that should be pretty much it for the maintenance that I have planned so far. So let's get started. Now, if you guys remember from the previous video, I said that this car had a limited slip differential, and the way that we can test this is by spinning the tires while it's up in the air. If I spin one and the other one turns in the same direction, it has limited slip. If it turns in the opposite direction, then it has an open differential. So there's a moment of truth. Let's spin this tire and see if the other one spins in the same direction. Yes, it is. If you guys see the other one over there, it's spinning in the same direction as this one. So yep, that does mean that this car has a limited slip differential, which is great news to start off this build. I'm going to take the wheels off and we're going to look underneath, see if we can find the exhaust leak, see if we can find the oil drain plug, and start off with an oil change. Now that I got the wheels off, I can get a better look at the suspension and stuff. So here are those brake rotors that we're going to replace here. You can see just how rusted they are. They're not very good at all. So those are going. Surprisingly enough, there's a lot of meat left on the brake pad there, but I'm going to replace the pads too. The caliper doesn't look too bad. Everything else looks pretty normal, per se. Now, one of the things I was really curious about was to see if these were stock springs or if they were aftermarket springs. And even though there's a bunch of spider webs, you can kind of see right up here the spring is purple, and then you could see more up there too. The spring is purple, so that would indicate that these are probably aftermarket lowering springs. My guess is that maybe these shocks are the original shocks, but they just got some springs. Yeah, I'll have to decide whether I'm going to do suspension on this or if I'm going to try to keep these. It doesn't ride very great right now, but that'll just have to be, we'll just have to see if it's in the budget or not. Yeah, let's head over to the passenger side. Here is the passenger side. You can definitely, yeah, you can kind of see purple up through there, but yeah, the same springs. The rotors are just as rusted. The brake pads look like they do have a decent amount of meat left here too, but again, we're going to replace the pads and the rotors. And you can see back here, there's quite a bit of leakage, and my guess is that's probably from the power steering line that was literally wrapped up with a rag and zip ties. So no worries there. But yeah, I mean, just look at this. It's like there's like spider eggs and spider webs and stuff. Like this car definitely sat for a really long time, but nothing too crazy in here. Let's head underneath and see if we can find this exhaust leak. As you can see, this is where the top of the header meets the bottom of the header, and looks like they just added a bunch of like high temp silicone. It doesn't look like, to me, the exhaust leak is anywhere here on the header. The pipes look pretty good shape, as you can see right here. I don't think that the exhaust leak is up here. I'm thinking maybe it is the muffler, because the muffler did look pretty rotted out, but the header itself and the exhaust is not looking too bad. It could also be the cat too, so I'll check that out. Yep, I think this is my problem right here. Take a look at that. That is the piping that comes off of the back of the cat. There are holes in it, which will definitely cause an exhaust leak, and the back of that just looks like trash. The rest of the piping actually looks pretty good, so I think that's probably my issue right there. Definitely going to have to get that fixed. I think that's causing my exhaust leak, so at least now I know. All right, let's head up top and start the oil change. Let's see how black this oil is. That is very, very dark. It almost looks like sludge. While that's draining, let's go up top and do spark plugs. Here are the old spark plugs. They don't look too bad. They look definitely old and used, but they don't look too bad. Nothing to see here, which is good news. Let's put the new ones in. All right, here are the new ones, nice and shiny. Good old MGKs. All right, the oil should be drained now, so let's check out the oil before we put in the new oil. This is the oil that came out of the car. I just wanted to check it to see if there were any metal flakes in it. I'm using my headlamp here to look, and I don't see any reflections back, so that's really good news that I don't have any metal flakes. That is more great news. All right, now we just got to put new oil in. I got the new oil filter on, the drain plug back in, and now we just got to put new oil in. Okay, as you can see, I'm holding the bottle straight, and we got 1 quart left, which means we put 4 quarts in. I don't know if you guys can actually see on here. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'm actually above the H. So I think I'm actually a little bit full. So I'm going to start up the car, let the oil run through the engine and through the oil filter, and then we should be good at that point. I think I need to be below the H. So let's start this thing up and make sure we got no leaks. And I forgot the battery is dead. looking good to me. Oil filter looks good. Let's check underneath, make sure we don't have any leaks. That leak right there is from before. All right, here is my new filter. It's a Spectre. I got it off Amazon for about, I don't know, 16, 17 bucks, and it'll work just fine. All right, there we go. That's how it's going to be on. So now we just need to tighten the clamp down as much as we possibly can. Because again, the filter is just a little bit bigger than the pipe. Get it nice and tight. All right. New filter is on, and it is much better looking than the previous one, which is right here and doesn't even have the coupler attached. So this should help a little bit since these use a mass airflow sensor. All right, let's move on to the cap and rotor. Now this looks to be the original cap. I mean, it could have been possibly replaced, but I don't think so. You guys can see right here, each of these wires has a number on it to let you know which cylinder it is, which really helps because if you just pull these wires off and you don't remember which one goes where, and you don't remember which order it goes on the cap, then that can cause a problem. So luckily, all I have to do is just unplug these. They have numbers on them, and I'll just make sure that I match them with the new cap. So what I'll do is get the new cap, which I have right here, and I'll connect the wires to it and then connect it to, once I get the new rotor on, then I'll connect the new cap on and we'll be good to go. All right, and there we go. Wires are on the new cap. So we're going to set this aside, take this cap off, and then throw this guy on. Okay, now that both of the screws are out, we just need to pull the cap off here. Here's the old one. Doesn't look too bad, but it doesn't hurt to replace either. So now here is the rotor. So what we'll have to do to get this off is just take a flathead and kind of just like pry it off a little bit, and then just pulls right off. All right, there is the rotor. Here's the new rotor. I'm just going to slide this guy right back on in the same orientation. Here we go. That's how the old one was. And then we're going to take our new cap and throw it on. Okay, so now that the new cap and rotor is on, I'm just going to start the car one more time just to make sure that this thing starts and runs. Then we'll be done with the engine maintenance for now. Okay, well, that is going to do it for this episode. As you guys saw, the engine is running great after doing the oil filter, spark plugs, cap and rotor, and replacing that old crusty air filter. Now, I didn't take it for a test drive because I actually found two bad wheel studs on the passenger side. So that is going to be something that we're going to have to replace in the next video when we do the brakes and brake pads. Now, if you remember, we also had to check engine light as well. Now, instead of checking it right away, I want to actually unplug the battery for 10 to 15 minutes, clear that out, plug the battery back in, and see if the check engine light comes back. And one thing I wanted to mention is that all of these parts, or at least most of them, I found on Amazon. The brake rotors, the pads, the distributor rotor, and cap I had to buy locally. Everything else I found on Amazon. Even the tires that are coming are from Amazon. So the links will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys sticking around to watch the transformation of the 200SX SER. I hope you guys are having fun because I definitely am. Don't forget to like this video, and if you haven't already, if you could subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. And we'll see you guys on the next video.